Well, thank you for spending part of your day with me today. And I wanted to have this session be all about reimagining what the world of e-commerce can look like with generative AI. Now, this session is going to be mostly focused on Target, which is one of the brands that I really love. Just to make sure I don't get sued by any Target lawyers out there. Big disclaimer, none of this information is sponsored by Target. I don't work at Target or have any association with Target. Before we jump in, a little bit about myself. I am a PM with 10 years of experience here in the Bay Area. I started my career working on the online shopping world on the Microsoft Store team. And then I transitioned over to work on the Xbox team, where I led their Xbox search experience for 3 years. I then decided I was done with Washington, moved over to California, and worked on the PowerPoint team. And that's where I started building and learning about machine learning and AI. Fast forward to where I am today. I now work at a small startup of 500 people and working on a 0 to 1 generative AI product. Since my background is in online shopping and search, I wanted to have this session be fun and interactive. So I thought it would be really cool to think about how we can re-envision the world for one of the brands that I love. And if you're not familiar with Target, by the end of the session, you're going to have way too much information about this company, what it does, and the potential future ahead of it. Since I do have a search background, I'm also going to be teaching you about search, how it works. So hopefully you'll leave the session with some understanding of that world as well. And at the end of the session, we're going to go through a little mini exercise so that you can put your learnings to the test. I know you all have been participating in this cohort. You want to get into the AI and machine learning space. So why not go ahead and put what you've learned to practice? So I want this to be engaging. So please feel free to leave comments, reactions. I want this to be helpful for you, for me. I don't want it to just be me talking to a camera to you all. So with that, I know you're here to have me talk about generative AI. It is what everyone out there in tech in the Bay Area is talking about. Every single company in tech is building generative AI features. It's starting to sell these features. So I thought it'd be fun to have a play on that. Since you all have been learning about generative AI, I'm not going to go into, the benefits of what is possible here. A lot of the inspiration that I took for this presentation is based on one core benefit of generative AI, which is the content creation. Now, if anyone here can name the 3 content creation benefits, what are the 3 types of data that content creation is possible? One of the first, obviously, is text. I'm getting a little light here on that.
Images,
Exactly, images. The last
videos,
one, music,
videos.
videos. Exactly. So what you're going to see is all around this idea of content creation. The inspiration was taken from what can be generated. So let's set the stage a little bit. Let's say Target is on a hiring frenzy. They've been hearing about generative AI. They want to incorporate generative AI. They're paying top dollar for a PM to come and join their team. Let's say we've actually taken on that challenge. And since we have experience with generative AI, we're the perfect person. What do? We pack up our bags, we sell our house, and we go over to Minneapolis to go work for Target. For those of you who don't know Target and the brand and what it is, let's learn a little bit about the evolution of Target so that you can understand how to build generative AI features. Target has been around since 1960. They started as a brick and mortar store. They actually started as a discount store. They opened their very first store in Minneapolis. From there, they expanded to new locations. They built more stores. And with new stores, the next thing that they had to do is create their very first distribution center. So in 1970, they put together a distribution center. Now they have different locations. They needed a place to store all of their items. That was one of the biggest moves that they did. In the 1980s, something else was new that they introduced. Now, if you're familiar with Target, You probably know that they have their own set of brands. They manufacture their own set of products. In the 1980s, they introduced their very first clothing line. Now, fast forward to the 90s. One of the next big moves they did was related to the era of credit cards. For those of you who have a credit card, this is a really big deal. Not only were credit cards sort of all over the world, but the fact that Target decided that they wanted to have their own credit card, they wanted to be part of that movement, was huge. Can anyone else guess what else happened in the 1990s? This is probably one of the biggest things that
Groceries.
Website.
The website.
E-commerce on website.
Exactly. They finally introduced their very first website. So now they could start selling the products that they sell in store online. And that website, of course, is still around. It's evolved a lot. Now, fast forward from where they've come to where we are today in 2023. Of course, no surprise, this is where the rise of ChatGPT came to light and really sort of is where we are today. But if you look at how far Target has come and all the different opportunities and decisions it's made, it's been around now for 60 years. And in order for it to continue being relevant and a company that can continue to stick around, it needs to evolve with the current world. So what does that mean for them? Let's start by looking at their ecosystem. Target has built this impressive brand, this impressive company, and it's employed hundreds and hundreds of people. The first type of people that of course run Target are the retail workers. These are the people that are in the stores, the cashiers, the people that are working the aisles, the people that are preparing your orders when you're placing a pickup order. Of course, you also have the shoppers. These are people like me and you who are going to Target to buy things that we need. And with an online presence comes the need for a customer support advocate, someone who can help you navigate the site, you can ask questions to, who can help you with your online order, someone that can answer the phone in case you have any questions. Of course, we have to acknowledge the corporate employees. This is not one we're going to be focusing on, but just to give you a sense of who all the different personas in this company are. Let's not forget the factory workers, the people that are in these distribution centers that are manufacturing all the goods, that are packaging orders that you're placing online. That's another very big, important person in this Target ecosystem. And of course, there's also the people that are driving the trucks full of merchandises that are taking products from one store to another or the warehouse to stores. They've built such an impressive ecosystem over the 60 years that they've become a company that today we're going to be focusing on shoppers. And the reason we're focusing on shoppers, because again, our goal is to introduce Gen AI into Target. Target ultimately cares about revenue. They're running a business. They need to make money. Who are the people that are buying products? Well, those are the shoppers. So now when you think about the shoppers, think about the needs and what they do on a day-to-day whenever they go to Target. How many of you go to Target for the sake of just going to Target? Maybe all you're doing is browsing. Maybe you don't need anything. You just want to go to Target because you have 30 minutes, you have an hour to kill. You love Target, you're obsessed with it. What is one of the things that you first do when you go to Target? For those of you who might have never been to Target, or because I know primarily they're in the United States, they have this a little area at the front of the store where you can kind of go and browse. And it's sort of this like deal section. Everything there is $1, $2, $3. That's one of the quickest ways that you can browse the store. Another need that shoppers have is shopping for a specific item. Some people go to Target because they're out of shampoo. They need more toothpaste. They need coffee. They need to buy a shirt. They're going to an event. They need a gift for someone. These are all reasons why you need to go to Target. You don't just go to Target for the sake of going. Maybe you only have 10 minutes. You have to go in and out and get exactly what you need. The third need that shoppers have, of course, is returns. You bought something, it doesn't fit, you no longer need it, you go back to the store and you return it and you leave. Now, feel free to use reactions. Which of these activities do you all think is the most common when we think about the shopper persona? Do most people just go to Target for the sake of going to the Target? Do they go to Target because they have a specific item that they need, they're out of something? Or do they go to do returns? The most common is the second one, where you need a specific item. You have a reason to go to Target. So that's what we're going to be focusing on for this session. So now that we know, we're focusing on the persona, shopper, and specifically the need around shopping for a specific item. The next question you have to think about as you look to see where you want to incorporate generative AI is whether you want to start with their online store, target.com, or if you want to focus on their brick and mortar stores, the physical locations. Now, there's pros and cons to both of these. Let's talk about the pros and cons for the right-hand side, which are the brick and mortar stores. Now, this is their bloodline. This is how they started the company. And nowadays, a lot of stores, physical stores, are dying, but Target has found a way to continue to succeed here. I'm sure they've started testing generative AI in some stores, but some of the cons for incorporating such new technology into these stores include, number one, it's expensive. Imagine having to buy all these different devices and thinking about where you're going to place them and how you're going to enable all of those online, all of those in-store retail people. You got to train not only the employees for the store in Minneapolis, but you also have to train the employees in Washington and Texas and California. There's a huge burden when it comes to introducing new technology in stores, when it comes to enablement. Another con is the audience. The people that are going in stores are probably not as tech savvy. Everyone here in California is tech savvy, but that statement might not be true to other states in the United States. The easiest way to enter this market of generative AI is by starting on target.com, an online shopping experience that's already there. You can experiment, you can try different features. That's your easiest way to entry, and that's what we're going to be focusing on for this session. But in order to think about how we're going to introduce generative AI, what is the one way that people shop online? Search, right? You go to target.com, you have a specific item, you don't go browsing their search website. You start with that search box and you type in exactly what you're looking for. So in order to think about what we're going to do, we need to learn a little bit about search. So let's talk about how search works today. It starts with an input box, right? When you think about what you can search, search has to be based on the products that Target sells. Products like clothing. Target sells clothing for women, clothing for men. So there's shirts, there's pants, there's socks, there's shoes. Everything has to be categorized in a specific way. So for now, we're just going to say all of those products are in the clothing department. They also sell kitchen items, pots, pans, cups, bowls, spoons, forks. Everything in the world of kitchen is in that department. Of course, they've got plenty of other departments like the health department. I just went to Target last week to go buy some medicine for the flu, for a cold. I'm getting over a cold right now. But they also sell mouthwash and toothpaste and deodorant, all things related to health. But they have like close to 100 different departments. They also sell food, they sell bicycles, they sell all sorts of things like shopping, gift items like shopping bags. So let's call all of these different departments product catalog. So when someone goes to target.com and they type in something in the input box, let's say the word purple, there's this ranking and retrieval layer that I'm not going to go into. It's very complicated and I could spend an entire hour talking about that. But basically what happens next is it looks at everything in the product catalog. It looks at the clothing department and it figures out what items it should return for purple. It looks at the kitchen department and determines what items it should give back for purple. Maybe there's a purple pan, a purple spoon, a purple water bottle. And it does this for every single department. And search has to be instant. So the next thing that happens after it's gone through all those different catalogs and it's determined all the eligible purple items, it then has to figure out how it's going to rank all these items. We got back 50 different items, but what should we show first? Should we show the purple t-shirt, the purple water bottle, the purple pen? That's all part of the ranking and retrieval logic, that machine that has to determine what to return. And ultimately, based on some data, perhaps clicks, number of purchases, it ranks those products in order. So as you can see here, if you go to target.com and you search for purple, the very first product that comes back are purple pens, followed by purple water bottle, and so on. As you can see, all of these are actually from different departments. This is from like supplies to workouts to gifts to clothing. Now, once you've built the basics of search, you've built your catalog, you've built a ranking and retrieval, you're able to build a search page with items and ranked and all that good stuff. You then start to build some of these more like quote fancy features. These are what I consider baseline. You go to Amazon.com, you go to Home Depot, REI, name your store. Every single online store today has this concept of autocomplete. When you type in text into that input box, you expect them to give you a list of different options based on what you're looking for. Now, another one of those features that have become baseline these days are filters. When you press enter and you're on this search page, you expect these companies to help you refine what you're looking for so that you can quickly find the item you need to make that purchase. For Target, their filters include different brands, like these at the top. Then you also have the other type of filters like sorting by price, sorting by department, sorting by size, and so on. This is how the world of search works today. You got a catalog and you've got all these sort of like baseline fancy features. But the world of search, as we know it today, I'm calling it old search, has its own challenges. For one, it's highly dependent on the product catalog. What do I mean by that? When you go to target.com and you search for, let's say, cat or Beyonce card, if Target doesn't have any of these items, it's not going to give you back anything in the search results page. That's the missed opportunity, especially with Gen AI and the ability to create images. If they don't have a card for a birthday card that's Beyonce style, couldn't you just generate an image of Beyonce? I mean, of course, there's like some other legal rights to generating an image about an artist, but that aside, the point here is sometimes you're searching for something that doesn't exist. That's an opportunity right there. The other reason why search has its challenges is that it's dependent on product attributes. In order for you to get results for purple, a human has to specify some attributes for that product. These attributes include the title, the images, the price that you're going to sell it, and the different colors. If Stanley had a purple cup, but forgot to add a purple image or a purple color as an attribute, that item will not appear on the search site. Of course, you have some other attributes that can only be determined based on usage data like ratings and whether or not it's in stock. So search has to maintain an understanding of these attributes to know how it's going to be ranked. Because search was built in this way, where it's dependent on items being in stock and attributes, the way that we all learned to search turned into this concept of keywords. So today, when you go to Amazon.com, when you go to any store, you're really trying to figure out what is the keyword that I can put in that's going to give me the result that I'm looking for. I need a toaster. I'm just going to go ahead and put in toaster. I know it's going to give me back items because I know there's going to be toasters that they sell. Most of the searches that we do are somewhere between 1 to 2 to 3 words. Here's another example. You need a black dress. What do you put in that input box? You say black dress. Pretty simple. You know that they sell clothing. You're trying to see if Target sells any black dresses, and sure enough, they do. Sometimes you even add some attributes to what you're looking for. You need some shoes. I'm not just going to put in shoes. I'm going to say boots. And I want these boots to be pink, and I want them to be sparkly. And because I know that Target sells shoes, those are the keywords that I'm going to add into the input box to try and find exactly what I'm looking for. The world of search has evolved with generative AI, and very few companies are taking advantage of this. Generative AI has taught us to search in a different way. Now, if you think about ChatGPT, the way that we're interacting with ChatGPT is through natural language. We're writing complete sentences. We're doing follow-up questions. If you were to do a search like this one here, I need supplies for my camping trip. What Target is going to return is a set of items that have the attributes camping or trip associated with them. Perhaps it's in the title, perhaps it's in the description. But this isn't really what I need. I want snacks. I want a tent. I want a sleeping bag. And as you can see here, Target has not taken advantage of this. It's still working based on the way that old search works, and it hasn't evolved to the latest patterns of how we're searching today through these new generative AI capabilities. Now, going back to the initial topic that we're all here to learn about. We said we were focusing on shoppers, and our goal is to think about how we can reimagine the world of generative AI. To start, let's break this down a little bit further. We know we want to focus on shopping for a specific item, and we said we were going to focus on Target.com because that was the easiest barrier to entry. So now let's talk a little bit more about some scenarios that arise for this persona. The first could be that you're shopping for a specific item that has very specific criteria. Maybe you need a laundry basket, and you need it to have wheels because you're going to store it in a specific corner of your house. So you need to be able to roll it out every once in a while. But you also need it to be in a rectangle shape and not circular because it's going to be in the corner of your space. And you need it to have handles because you're going to go up and down flights of stairs with it. So as a shopper, you know you need a laundry basket, but you have specific criteria in mind. The second scenario is really all about shopping for multiple items. I just moved into a new house and I don't have anything for my kitchen. I need a toaster, I need pots and pans. I don't really care about the brand. I don't have a lot of criteria. I just need a basic toaster. The third one is around planned activities. When we go shopping at Target, we have either criteria, need multiple items, or have an activity that we need to shop for. Maybe it's for someone's birthday. Maybe you're going on a hike and you need to pack some snacks, a water bottle, some socks, whatever that activity is. These are all reasons why you need to go to Target.com to shop for an item. Let's start with the very first one around specific criteria. Now let's pretend that we go to Target.com and there's some new generative AI capabilities. What I'm going to show you next are a series of different images that have been generated with generative AI. And they're really just here to kind of talk through different concepts that potentially can be introduced for inspiration. So let's say we have a very specific need. We're looking for a kitchen appliance that can bake, air fry, and fit in a small space. We live in SF. We have a small kitchen. We need a tool that can do all these things. If you go to Target.com today, what you're probably going to get back is 20 different appliances. Maybe one of those is an air fryer and that's all it can do. Maybe the other one is a toaster oven and it can only bake. It doesn't give you something that fits all these criteria. What you have to do as a user is go through every single one of those products, read the description, look at the images, and decide if it meets the criteria that you're looking for. That's the old search. We don't want that. In this new world, generative AI has made it possible for Target to give you an answer. So maybe in this new world, Target knows that there's only 2 items, or maybe 1 item that fits the specific criteria you want. It should just put that front and center for you. It should present it as an answer and tell you exactly why this is the product you should buy. And might even pull in internet data and give you recipes that are possible that you can make with that product that you're looking for. So this is net new. Today, Target can't give you recipes because there's no online recipes that it sells in its catalog. This is all from internet data, right? But wouldn't it be nice if it just gave you, it acknowledged the fact, hey, you said you're looking for something that can air fry, something that can bake, and can fit in a small space. This is the one thing you're looking for. Don't waste your time going through all the other products because you're not going to find it. And again, both of these were generated with generative AI. But the whole idea here is just present what the customer is looking for right there on the search page. Don't make them go through all these other products, especially if you have ratings data. You know that this product has been well received by other customers, so you feel good about this recommendation. Let's talk about a different scenario now. In this case, you have multiple items that you're looking for. Let's say you just moved to a new place and you need to furnish your living room. You don't have any furniture and you have a specific budget in mind. Perhaps it's $500. So why not specify that right there in the search box so that I can get Target to tell me what exactly I should buy. But let's take that a step further. We have a picture of our living room. Why don't we provide that for them? In this picture, you see that I have some windows and then I have one wall. When you think about the basic items that you need for a living room, you need a couch, perhaps a coffee table, some side tables, and some artwork. You can see that I have nothing in this living room. And all of those basic items that I just talked about are things that Target sells. So what if Target could offer some inspiration of what I could put in this living room here, and it could tell me the specific products that it has in stock that I could go shop for that are within my budget? And what if it took that a step further and gave me different mood boards? Here's the aesthetic if you want a modern aesthetic. Here's the aesthetic if you want a beachy vibe. Maybe if you want everything that's pink, you could decorate your living room in pink. This is what generative AI can do when you incorporate it with some of the latest capabilities. Let's do one more. In the planned activities space, when you have a specific hiking trip you're going to take, you want to get a list of supplies, right? But we could take that a step further. Today, if you go to Amazon.com, if you go to Google, you type in some text in the input box, you've probably seen this concept of follow-up questions, where there's another input box that appears that will ask you a follow-up question. I said I'm going on a hike. The next question could be, where's your hike? Where are you going to? That's one way to do it. But what if Target, since it has stores all across the US, could tell customers the different hikes that are near those stores, the location, by using internet data? And what if it went a step further and told you the top products for different hikes? If you're hiking in the mountains of somewhere cold and snowy, you probably need a different set of shoes, as if you're going on a hike in Florida where it's hot. The things that you need for a hiking trip, sure, some of them are universal. But what if that collection again was curated based on location and was right there front and center for you? I'm going to go hike in California, or I'm going to go hike in the East Coast. Here are all the top products in the East Coast. Here's what the weather's going to look like this weekend, and so on. Now, I just went through a series of different activities just to give you an idea of the art of the possible. happy to answer any questions. I have this sort of exercise that I thought would be fun to have to work with you all on and see if you could put what you've learned to the test through your course that you've taken. So feel free to unmute yourself. Feel free to send in chat. I see there's a question here.
We got also a few questions that are being posted on LinkedIn.
Okay.
So maybe I'll kind of go through them as well. Before you answer the ones that raised hand, just because there are a few questions that were asked earlier, would it be okay if I read a couple of them that were typed earlier?
Yes, go for it.
Okay, so one of the questions that were asked was with Sashmita. She said, can you please explain how generative AI found the right product from a feature building perspective? Maybe Sashmita, you just want to kind of explain your question in more detail. Feel free to just jump right in.
Yeah, so I think when I wrote that, we were at the air fryer. So essentially, there was a lot going on. So the data that we have to train is the targets data. We have obviously their user actions, interactions, and obviously on the other side, you have the product, their attributes, and the history of the product details. What exactly, like which generative AI capability did we use to come up with this? Of course, there's a little bit of, I believe, there is a search involved in this, looking for the right, because there's no image, there's just a description. What was the underlying layer that was working?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about that. So Target has, let's say, 20 different appliances. All of those appliances have description. They describe what the product does. When I was reimagining what could be possible here, I was thinking about leveraging RAG, the retrieval augmentation generation piece of generative AI. And really what that could do is we could analyze all of those 20 products. We could look at the descriptions. We could leverage large language models and say, okay, read the descriptions. Tell me what like this customer is looking for, air frying, baking, etc. Narrow down the products based on that. And through a process of elimination, you can determine, okay, there's only one or two products. So based on that information that you did offline, you can determine, oh, this one product, in my scenario, there was only one product that was applicable. So that's one part. The second piece is the acknowledgement part. So if you've gone to Google search and you've seen like the instant answer, I think this concept of acknowledgement is also important. That is something that the shopper needs to know that what they're buying is the right decision. So in my view of this concept, I want Target.com to say, hey, this is the one product that can do XYZ. Go buy it. Like, don't think about it. Don't go look at other products. This is it. You could spend your time looking at other products, but I'm telling you, I don't have anything else that meets your criteria. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm happy to...
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I flew through those exercises. So if you all find value in me explaining how potentially these could be built, I'm happy to go through and talk about that as well.
Awesome. I was just going to add one more thing and say that for those of you that you're wondering what RAGs are, we do have a session actually next Saturday, same time. Somebody's going to go over RAGs with like some exercises. So that's actually a pretty good addition to what Anna just talked about. And in case you want to kind of dig more into the AI product management cohort stuff, feel free to just like apply to our upcoming cohort. I also submitted the link on LinkedIn as well. Okay, so passing it to Mohsen now. Go ahead.
So thank you, Anna, for the great presentation. I had two things in mind. First of all, you already touched on one of them, the groundedness of the answers of the search result. So I was curious. So I know there might be some low-hanging fruits in this space of like maybe we can easily show some results that we couldn't do that before, and sell more. But when we go deeper and find information even through multimodal searches, like not just the description of the image and products, let's say we can we can interpret the image of the products and then show some results based on that. So I'm curious, what do you think about these two challenges of gathering information from, let's say, images and videos to show the results of the search queries based on those, and also how to kind of show and interpret the results to the customer so they can make sure the AI can does show them the right product and it's true. So because one piece of information came from the review of a customer, another piece came from the image. It is kind of challenging, but it's interesting for me to see how search can mitigate these challenges.
If I'm understanding your question, let me read it back. One of the benefits that generative AI offers is the ability to introduce images. What are some of the challenges that Target could run into, especially given that today some of their products already have images as part of their attributes? I think another challenge they face, well, first off, when I think about the space, I think today products have images, and if you don't have an image, then it can't show you an image. Today, that process is very manual. That's one of the ways that generative AI can really help as humans type in every single metadata information. Some of the challenges, especially if you don't have imagery or thinking about incorporating imagery, I think for one, it's the concept of whether or not the image is real, like the potential impact of you showing something that might be harmful, like maybe you're shopping for a Christmas tree and there are limited Christmas tree pictures for the product that you're selling. But because we're using generative AI, we could show you what a Christmas tree could look like if you were to place it in a snowy location or inside your home or somewhere else. But at the same time, you might be overselling. You might be, the shopper wants the tree that you're advertising. If you start showing them pictures of products that don't look exactly what you purchased or thought you were purchasing, you then run into this whole you lose trust with the shopper, right? They might no longer go to Target. I think that's one obvious one. Another one is maybe around licensing of images. I mean, it's not really regulated today. Today, you can generate all sorts of images and you don't have to worry about whether or not you're stealing someone's idea or someone's art or concept. I think that's going to be another big one. One opportunity that I think Target could potentially start with is in the cards, like the birthday cards, which is a big department for them. It's usually 3 rows in a store. If you are looking for a card for a birthday for something specific and you want to, make your own card, I think that's the easiest way for entry with some disclaimers on top of it. But I'd have to think a little bit more about that one. That's a great question. Does that help answer how I'm thinking about it?
So yes, actually, you brought up another challenge as well. So my main question is for the RAG solution that you just said. I'm curious how multimodal RAG can, mitigate the challenge of groundedness for the results that we show to the customer, and how to, relate those results to the actual, description or image or video that we have, that our model could, draw those and show the result to the customer. So I'm not sure if any startup or big companies started to experiment these challenges.
Yeah, so here's one idea on how you can use RAG for this scenario here that I have on the screen. So Target sells couches. It can analyze all the different images it has around couches, and it can use internet images and data that's out there around different living rooms for these couches. And it could try to decide based on that, okay, like these couches are L-shaped couches, these couches are all against the wall. And that's what really inspired this concept here of okay, we've got 100 couches. This image has windows. I cannot do an L couch here. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's one potential approach for how it could use image multiprocessing to identify it back to its product for groundedness.
All right, looks like Mohsen is happy. Okay, one more question and then we'll continue because there's an exercise that Anna has planned for us. Vishy?
Thanks. Hey, Anna, you were talking about the data that the model is trained on, and you were talking about the descriptions that each product has and the rest of the structured data that's already available, but that is still, a limited set of data. And when shoppers are asked to search using descriptive terms, many of those terms may not be there in the structured data or even in the description. So for example, I might say, hey, I've seen a roundish appliance that actually cuts my vegetables into spirals like noodles. And then the model may have difficulty coming up with the appropriate items, even though they are there, just because my terms are so, nebulous. So in your experience, do companies also utilize external data? So for example, if the large language model was trained on forums, etc., then there's much more likelihood than the terms that I'm searching for, there'll be a greater probability of doing a match. And I read that companies are limited to using the amount of data that they can train the models upon. What is your experience? What are you seeing?
Regarding your question specifically around when you're training a search model, do you leverage other data on top of the product attributes to train your products? Is that your primary question?
Yes.
The short answer is yes. So on Target, I can speak to it from my experience at my current job, where today the way that actually let's talk about it from this example here. So this is one scenario on how the product attribute data is not enough and you need other data to annotate. So in order for Target to be successful at this, you probably need human annotators or other ways to do this. Sure, you could leverage large language models and you can put some logic on top of these products and add additional attributes. For example, for a tent, you can start adding user queries. A tent can now have, I need a tent, and that's now an attribute, so that the next time someone says, I need a tent, that product can now be surfaced. That's one immediate thing that you can do, but that doesn't you need more than that to make sure that the results that you're going to get back are the right ones. Generative AI can label things incorrectly. So now you need to introduce human annotators who are going to look at some of the top queries and look at the products and validate that for this tent, did it add the right user query? If it added a query that says, I need a shopping bag, this product can also show up for snacks, then that's a potential risk that generative large language models introduce if you were to take that approach. So you will need to have other ways to add attributes through either large language models, and if you do that, then you need human annotators to validate.
Okay. Great, thank you.
All right, let me go back to the exercise that I wanted to have with you all. All right, so we have roughly 15 minutes. We could probably spend 5-10 minutes, and then I'm happy to answer more questions. But given that you all are looking to go into the AI ML space and generative AI is a hot topic, one of the hardest things that we have to do as PMs is come up with ideas. So I thought it'd be cool to have you all sort of pick one of these personas that we didn't talk about that are still related to the online shopping world and think about some of their needs and some ideas that could help solve their needs. So feel free to noodle on this. If you have immediate thoughts, feel free to unmute yourself. We can have a discussion around this specific persona. And also happy to answer some questions as you all kind of think through this as well.
Do we want to give a few minutes to people? Are you thinking like, how many minutes would you like to give them?
We can give you all 3 to 5 minutes.
Okay. We don't have any music to play, but for next time, I'll make sure we have some sort of music to play during the wait time. All right, just in case you guys are wondering, we got 3 more minutes, so continue writing. And I know, I think people are also typing their ideas on the chat. Does that work for you as well?
Let me take
I
a
can
look.
see they're typing. It seems pretty good. I can also read them for you if you want afterwards, but I can see them. What's the mess?
No, I see them. I see them. Let me,
Yeah.
okay, great. Bring back the slides. No, I don't think there's a way for me to do both. Okay.
So we can give 2 more
Actually, if you don't mind
minutes.
reading them for me.
Yeah. What's that? Yeah, sure. I can read them for you. Yeah, no problem.
Okay, thanks.
Perfect. So 2 more minutes and then we'll get started.
I'm reading, I was able to pull the chat up, so I'm reading some of the comments right now. Yeah, that's a great idea. The using the models to find wrong images, especially because humans can make mistake when they're entering these items into the catalog. Retail workers are also really fun to think about. Also, I'm just reading one of the comments here.
Yeah, somebody on LinkedIn also wrote down the retail workers.
Mm-hmm.
All right, 1 more minute and then we'll continue.
Oh, this is a great idea. For a product, for a specific product, because we have a lot of different videos that people create on product reviews. Offering those available would be cool.
Okay, great. I think we're pretty much right on time. So feel free to just so that people, the audience on LinkedIn is also aware, it'd be great if you are discussing any of them, you can kind of read them just so that people that don't see the text message, they can also participate on the LinkedIn side.
Does anyone want to unmute and volunteer and talk through sort of like the persona they picked and some ideas they had?
I can give it a try. So I picked up the persona of the customer support. Like most of the calls, usually they get is like when they have problem with the website or their account and things like that. So if you build a bot that can supply them with the knowledge base articles that can quickly annotate the answer and then supply to them, then that reduces the time, the response time. That is one idea I got. And the second one is like sometimes there are like, I heard like the chatbots are built based on like analyzing the mood of a person based on the tone, right? another one, like when customer is speaking, like based on the tone, like if they can analyze and give that perspective to the support agent, then he or she can manage how to structure the answer to pacify the customer if they are angry or to please them, something like that. And that helps to convey the solution. Like if there is any additional things, like if the customer came up with a question, then additional solutions that you can provide. Okay, I do not find an item for my camping trip. Is there anything that you can suggest? Then we can give a chatbot that give like a bunch of suggestions. So
Yeah, I think customer support is big because you have years worth of online data. Target already has a bot, I'm sure they've evolved it since then, but your ideas really resonate because you can process all of the years of data they have to identify what are some of the top problems and find ways to make it easier for agents to quickly respond to things. Or even in real time, when you're going to the bot and asking for questions, you can quickly summarize large amounts of information for the agent. So I love that. Thanks for sharing. Anyone
I
else
can
want to share?
Yeah, sure. I can share, Anna. And the perspective I was coming from is just the way people are purchasing now is different, right? And how can Target start feeding into and getting value from the customer's pre-journey before they come to Target? So kind of like Amazon, why Amazon is doing really good is people are doing the search. They have so much information about customers, which Target doesn't really have. So by offering a way for people to provide information like the videos or pictures or wherever else they are going to start getting those ideas, it does two things. One, it gives newer orders to Target that maybe it might not have had because someone else could have gone to that Instagram link or wherever and purchased items from there. But the second thing is now it also starts getting more information from its customers. So it starts capturing more additional information with the customers. And thirdly, it's really meeting the customers where they're doing their shopping. Because no one goes and says, like, at least I don't go and say, I want a pink shirt. I'm really looking at something before, and that's how I think I want to look. So I think people are shopping differently. So it really starts supporting that new mechanism.
Yeah, definitely. I think in the next year or so, we might all be searching in a different way, but those are also great ideas for sure. We can have one more person share. I'm happy to also answer any other questions you might have about this topic of generative AI search or anything that might come to mind.
I have one question. So what are some of the challenges of building these kind of systems? So Rag, can you touch upon a little bit?
RAG. So RAG is this stands for retrieval augmentation generation. And really what that means is you have a lot of data. So that's like the R piece. What can you do with data? The augmentation is you're doing something with that data, and based on what you're doing, you're generating something. So the product that I'm working on right now is heavily using RAG. I can't speak into the specifics of it, but some of the challenges that you run into is the quality of the data that you're using. So if you're processing large amounts of data, the data is not always clean. So there's always some sort of cleanup that you have to do, manipulated. Maybe you filter out specific data. If we talk about it from a target perspective, let's talk about the problem of attributes and how attributes perhaps are incorrect. Not everyone types in the titles in a specific way. Sometimes you forget to add attributes. So you have to figure out how you're going to filter and clean up that data. And there's many different ways you can do that. You can do that through building some rule-based machine learning rules, filter out everything that has jargon. And here are some examples like jargon. It starts with XYZ. You could talk about leveraging the large language model GPT and giving it a few-shot learning. I don't know if you all are familiar with these concepts, but there's this concept called few-shot learning where you're teaching the large language model, okay, I need you to clean up data. This is the type of data that I need you to clean up. Here's an example. Here's another example, and here's another example. Based on the examples that I've given you, go and do the cleanup for me. That's one challenge. Another challenge I see with the manipulation is with the large language model GPT not giving you exactly what you're looking for, especially when you're generating information and you're using, just if you were to just use the OpenAI GPT-3 or 4 model, it has a mind of its own. Sure, it might work the first and second and third time, but at some point it's going to do what it wants and it might stop following the rules that you asked it to do. This is something that's ever evolving, so you really need to add more things on top of that. This could be like this could really be its own topic. Like it's all brand new. Large language models have been around for many, many years, like 8, 10 plus years, but the world has only really started thinking about it in the last year with GPT and everything that's come up since then. I hope that answered your question. I didn't want to get too in the weeds with it. I see there's another question. Would you consider image recognition or finding quality issues from images a Gen AI features? I think there's different ways you can think about Gen AI features. It's whether you're optimizing for internal needs or whether you're optimizing for external customers. And external, I mean the shoppers. So you have to think about it based on what your goal is. Is your goal to make money? Is your goal to clean up data internally so that you can surface different products and the quality of your products are good? So I think image recognition can be applied to both depending on what your ultimate end goal is.
Okay, we got
I can
2
also
more
try
minutes.
another persona. If
Oh, go for
Go
it.
ahead.
there's that.
Go ahead.
So I wanted to focus on the retail workers. I thought maybe their main jobs are inventory management, customer support, payment process, and maybe some segment of them are the new retail workers. So between all of these tasks, I thought maybe training new retail workers through generative AI by teaching them some of their tasks by just some conversational AI might be a good way to train them. But another solutions could be, for example, maybe for the customer support part, you already touched on, for example, putting some queues and mobiles and hardware to for the users to ask them, but there is more cost to it. For the inventory management, I'm not sure if we can use generative AI or not, but we can use some prediction models to help retail workers to go and manage the inventory easier than just manage it manually. And for the checkout process also, there could be some innovations in maybe self checkout with cameras to look at the products and speed it the basket of the customer and all the products that detected through the visuals. But these might not be generative AI, but yet these are the things that came to mind.
Yeah, those are some great ideas. I think the immediate one that definitely resonates and stands out to me is the one that you talked about regarding inventory. If you think about Target, they have hundreds of stores across different locations. Imagine a world where they have cameras on every single aisle, and that's a lot of data for them to figure out, from an inventory perspective, what are the products that you should be sending to stores in the East Coast versus stores on the West Coast? And so on, especially for different aisles, different departments. That's one immediate way that the goal here would be optimizing for the inventory, and you could argue that if you always have the products that people need in different locations, you're ultimately making more money. Well, thank you everyone for your time. I hope this was helpful. I hope you learned a little bit more about Target. Hope you were able to take some of these ideas and think about how you can reimagine the world for the area that you work on, and as we think about the future for generative AI and the art of the possible.
Anna, thanks for the wonderful presentation, and it is awesome. And we like it, especially I like the way you presented it, very clear and crisp. I hope you feel better soon.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I was
Hope you
just
all-
gonna say thank you so much, Anna, for coming in. I wasn't aware you weren't feeling well until today, so thank you so much. Really appreciate you making the sacrifice and still showing up. It's been great getting to know you, and I think the AIPM community, I really enjoyed the session. I'm getting a lot of both private messages, public messages, people saying thank you, this is great, very well thought out. So hope to see you around more. Thank you everybody for coming in. For those of you also just kind of running out of time, so I won't have time to invite people from the previous cohorts to share their experience with the cohort. But if you're thinking about it, feel free to use the links that we provided for you to submit your application for upcoming cohorts. And looking forward to seeing you all next Saturday. We will be talking about RAGs, but I want to pass it back to you, Anna, for any closing remarks before we end the session.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. I've been reading the comments. Thankful for you all and joining and taking part of your day to hear me talk to you about Target. So hope everyone has a great weekend. Thanks again for everything.
That's amazing. Thank you so much and have a good day. Bye.